Welcome to free CSCS and CPCS video course, the latest, CITB Health and Safety Lessons, 2021, UK. Manual handling. Manual handling is the moving of any load by bodily force, including lifting, putting down, pushing, pulling or carrying. Manual handling includes the following: repetitive body movements, twisting and turning; horizontal movement, pushing and pulling; lifting, carrying, and lowering loads and materials. Using suitable manual handling aids, such as wheelbarrows, sack trucks, and brick hoists, can reduce the risk of manual handling injuries, which are the construction industry's biggest cause of ill health. Every year an estimated 900,000 working days are lost due to handling injuries. Your back is strong but not as strong as you believe it is. Repeated twisting, straining, and incorrect lifting techniques can over time lead to injury. Manual handling injuries resulting from unsafe or incorrect manual handling can affect the following parts of your body: whole body, arms, back, hands, shoulders, feet and ankles. Back injuries are most common, but hernias, ruptures, sprains and strains are all conditions that can result from manual handling. Your employer has a legal duty to avoid any manual handling activity that will harm you. Poor posture, such as slouching on the settee, sleeping on a poor supporting mattress, and sitting in a driving position that twists or doesn't support your spine, can all add to the problem. Manual handling and lifting injuries are often for life. You and your site employer. What your site and employer should do for you. 1. Reduce the need for manual handling by effective planning, delivery, offloading, and distribution of your materials and equipment, to avoid unnecessary carrying and lifting. 2. Identify work activities that pose a manual handling risk. 3. Identify the risks to your health from the manual handling of any load. 4. Ask you how you would do the manual handling task, consultation. 5. If the manual handling task has to be done, provide suitable equipment and a safe method of work to minimize any risk of injury. 6. Provide any necessary equipment and training in safe manual handling. 7. Provide hazard-free access routes and adequate lighting levels. What you should do for your site and employer. 1. Follow the safe system of work. 2. Use lifting aids and equipment safely. 3. Cooperate with your employer. If in doubt, ask for advice. 4. Make sure your activities do not put yourself or others at risk. Manual handling assessment. Where the workplace assessment shows potential risks to the health of employees from the manual handling of loads, the employer must develop a safe system of work that avoids those risks. This calls for attention to 4 main things. 1. Task. What has to be achieved, by whom and when? Can manual handling be avoided completely? Does the task involve repetitive lifting? Does the task involve repetitive twisting? Can the distance a load has to be moved be reduced, for example, can it be delivered or moved nearer? Can lifting aids be used, for example, a wheelbarrow, trolley, or vacuum lifters? How and from what height is the load to be lifted or lowered? Will it be necessary to overreach or stretch to lift or put down the load? 2. Individual. Are they male or female, large or small in stature and frame? What is their age and do they have any health issues or injuries? Will they need specialist manual handling training or training in any technique needed to use the equipment? Are they male or female, tall or small, young or old? Do they have any existing injuries or health conditions? Do they need additional personal protective equipment, PPE? 3. Load. Is it too heavy to lift? Can it be broken down into smaller loads, or can 2 people lift it? Can the load be split down into smaller loads? Should it be moved by 2 or more people? Is the weight and center of gravity of the load known? Is it hot, cold, wet, or greasy, or does it have sharp edges? Can it be gripped easily, or are there adequate and suitable handholds? 4. Environment. What hazards are there on the route? For example, are there slippery or uneven floors, slopes, steps, or narrow passages? Is the floor or ground free from slip or trip hazards? Does the load need to be carried up steps or stairs? Are there any space constraints or obstructions that should be removed? Is the level of lighting adequate? You can remember these 4 aspects by use of the acronym TILE. Team lifting. If the load is large, heavy, or awkward, get help, preferably from someone of about the same size and build as you, to help maintain the balance of the load during lifting. Team lifting should only be carried out with people of similar capabilities who have been trained to carry out team lifting. One person should take the lead and give clear instructions during lifting, carrying, and lowering. The only way to avoid manual handling is to use mechanical handling equipment, such as cranes, forklifts, and goods hoists. Lifting and handling. Use your body wisely, Kinetic Method. Let your leg and thigh muscles do the work. Try to maintain the natural curve of your spine and relax your muscles. Avoid flexing your back any further once you have started to lift. Do not snatch the load as you lift. Avoid leaning sideways or twisting your back, especially when your back is bent. Good practice method for kinetic lifting. Putting the load down, plan before you start. To floor level, you will probably need to carefully reverse the lifting method. To a higher level, check first, as it may be safer to set the load down and get assistance to lift it higher. Heavier loads should be stored at waist height. Good practice method for lifting and placing a load. Safety signs. You and your site employer. What your site and employer should do for you. 1. Provide signs that are suitable for the hazard. 2. Provide signs for general information, such as the location of assembly points, parking, pedestrian routes, and welfare facilities. 3. Make sure that safety signs follow standard designs in respect of shape, color, and the use of pictograms. 4. Display any safety sign identified as being needed in your safe system of work. 5. Maintain signs and make sure they are clearly visible. 6. Remove signs if they are no longer needed. What you should do for your site and employer. 1. Understand what the signs and signals mean. 2. Follow the instruction or direction on any sign or signal. 3. Do not vandalize or remove any sign. 4. Report any damaged or missing signs. 5. Speak to your supervisor if you are confused by a sign, there seem to be too many signs, or your work area needs extra signage. Mandatory signs, must do. 1. General mandatory sign to be accompanied where necessary by another sign. 2. Safety harness must be worn. 3. Safety helmet must be worn. 4. Protective eyewear must be worn. 5. Safety boots or safety shoes must be worn. 6. Safety gloves must be worn. Prohibition signs, must not do. 1. No smoking. 2. No naked flames. 3. No access for pedestrians. 4. Do not extinguish with water. 5. Not drinkable. 6. No mobile phones. Warning signs. 1. General warning sign, to be accompanied where necessary by another sign. 2. Combustible or flammable material. 3. Explosive material. 4. Toxic material. 5. Corrosive material. 6. Radioactive material. 7. Overhead load. 8. Industrial vehicles operating. 9. High voltage. Warning: stand clear of suspended loads. Danger: asbestos removal in progress. Emergency escape route signs. First aid signs. 1. First aid. 2. Emergency eye wash. 3. Emergency shower. Firefighting signs. 1. Fire hose reel. 2. Fire ladder. 3. Firefighting equipment. 4. Fire emergency telephone. 5. Fire extinguisher. 6. Fire alarm call point. Fire prevention and control. Fire kills and injures many people every year in the UK. On construction, demolition, or refurbishment sites there can be a high risk of fire. Smoke and fire can spread rapidly, and this risk can increase depending on the stage of the project. How fire starts. For fire to start there must be 3 elements, the fire triangle. Heat or ignition, such as a spark. Fuel, something that burns. Oxygen, air. Fighting fire. Fire feeds on fuel and oxygen. A fire can be put out by removing any one of the following: the heat or ignition source, cooling with water. The fuel, starving, for example, by turning off the gas supply. The oxygen, smothering with foam or a fire blanket. You and your site employer. What your site and employer should do for you. 1. Undertake a fire risk assessment at the start of the project, review it as the project and risks on site change, and inform you of actions to take in the event of an emergency. 2. Provide, maintain, and test fire detection and firefighting equipment. Keep escape routes and fire exits clear of all obstructions. 3. Provide a secure storage place for gas cylinders, flammable liquids, and materials. 4. Display a fire action plan that details the actions you should take in the event of an emergency, the fire escape routes and fire assembly points. 5. Have a system to control hot work, such as a hot work permit. 6. Provide means to make sure rubbish and waste do not build up. 7. Provide and identify designated smoking areas, where applicable. What you should do for your site and employer. 1. Know what to do and how to raise the alarm, if there is a fire. 2. Store materials and fuels in designated areas. 3. Keep exit routes and fire points clear at all times. 4. Practice good housekeeping and clear up your waste. 5. Know when and how to get a hot work permit, if required. 6. Report anything you feel could be a fire risk, such as damaged electrical cables, hot lamps near combustible materials, and signs of arson. 7. Do not move fire extinguishers from their designated points. 8. Do not smoke on site, unless there is a designated area where it is allowed. Ignition and fuel sources. Fires need an ignition source, a form of heat that can set fire to flammable materials nearby. If rubbish is allowed to accumulate, or solvents and paints are left open, they will create a dangerous environment that could be set on fire by any of the following sources of ignition. Naked flames. Sparks from cutting activities. Overheating of power tools and electrical equipment. Gas or electric heaters. Smoking, or discarded matches or cigarettes. Overheating of lights, particularly halogen. Bonfires are not allowed on site, unless the site has a permit. Emergency procedures. Your employer will tell you the following information at the site induction. Where to go in the event of a fire and how to get there safely. How to raise the alarm. How to call the emergency services. Where you can smoke on site, if smoking is allowed. When the fire alarms are tested. Who is trained to use firefighting equipment. Who the fire wardens and marshals are. Who to report fire risks, signs of arson and break-ins to. The emergency escape routes may change during the project, so you will need to regularly familiarize yourself with any new routes. Hot works. Hot work can be any work where heat, sparks or naked flames are produced, such as welding, grinding, or soldering. If you are undertaking hot works, you must work in accordance with the site rules for hot works. This often means obtaining a hot work permit from your supervisor or site management. What a hot work permit will tell you. What you must do before you start and when you can start work. How to prevent sparks, heat and flames from spreading. Which type of fire extinguisher you should have available. The site rules about maintaining a fire watch during the hot work activity and for how long after the end of the hot works the fire watch must be maintained. When you must stop. When you must go back and check the area, usually a minimum of 1 or 2 hours after hot work ends, but clients may specify longer periods dependent on the risks involved. You should be informed of fire safety and evacuation procedures during your site induction. For example, the means of raising the alarm, what the fire alarm will sound like, when weekly testing will take place and the location of firefighting equipment and fire assembly points. If you hear the fire alarm, you must stop work and go to the fire assembly point immediately. Highly flammable liquids and gases. Highly flammable liquids are those that can be ignited at temperatures below 32 degrees Celsius. When using these, you must only get out the amount you need for the day and the liquids must be kept in a closed container. You should not work with flammable substances near naked flames or sparks. Any spillages must be cleared up immediately. Examples of highly flammable liquids include the following: petrol, thinners, solvents, adhesives. Compressed gas must be kept in an upright position when being used, transported, or stored. Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, should be stored in fireproof compounds or cages, which will stop vapors from building up in the event of a leak. Compounds should have a level base, good ventilation, and be surrounded by secure fencing. Never store LPG cylinders below ground in cellars or basements. Portable fire extinguishers. When using portable fire extinguishers, it is vital that everyone is vigilant and any hot work is controlled. The table below shows the types of portable fire extinguishers and what to use them on. 1. Water, use for wood, paper, textile and solid material fires, color red, do not use on liquid, electrical or metal fires. 2. Foam, use for liquid fires, color cream, do not use on electrical or metal fires. 3. Powder, use for liquid and electrical fires, specialist dry powders use for metal fires, color blue, do not use on metal fires unless M28 or L2 text is printed on extinguisher, which means it is suitable for metal fires. 4. Carbon dioxide, use for wood, paper, textiles, gaseous, liquid and electrical fires, color black, do not use on metal fires. 5. Wet chemical, use for wood, paper, textile, cooking oil, and solid material fires, color yellow, do not use on liquid, gas or electrical fires. Note: dry powder extinguishers may be provided as well as or substituted for water, foam, or carbon dioxide extinguishers. Extinguishers used to control Class 8 fires, flammable liquids, will not work on Class B fires, cooking oils, because of the high temperatures produced. Fire extinguishers should only be used on very small fires, as a guide, no bigger than a waste paper bin, or to aid escape. If you have to leave the location of the fire to raise the alarm, do not return to the fire, continue your own evacuation. Fires can spread very quickly. Electrical safety. You can't see electricity. You can't smell it. It is dangerous and it can kill. There is no visible way of knowing for sure if a cable or wires are live. All existing underground cables should be identified from surveys and locations checked with the use of a cable avoidance tool, CAT. The temporary nature of site electrical distribution systems and the possibility of them being damaged are all the more reason to be careful with electricity. If there are exposed cables or wires near where you are working, assume they are live, stop work, and report them. Follow processes to obtain permits to work to confirm the disconnection of any live cables. The severity of any electric shock will be much lower. You and your site employer. What your site and employer should do for you. 1. Protect you from electrocution by identifying the location or isolation of mains electric and underground or overhead electricity supplies, and have a process in place to issue a permit to work, as required. 2. Provide safe, temporary electrics and safety lighting. 3. Make sure electrical installations are inspected, maintained, and certificate. What you should do for your site and employer. 1. Only use electrical tools or equipment in accordance with the agreed safe system of work. 2. Only use tools and equipment if you have had the correct training, and after carrying out the pre-use checks. 3. Use the correct equipment and personal protective equipment, PPE, in an appropriate manner. 4. Report any damage or faults. 5. Assume that any exposed cables or wires that you are working near are live and do not start work until a permit to work has been issued. Electrical voltages. Battery power. Battery-powered tools are the safest option. The severity of any electric shock will be much lower. There are no trailing cables. A lot of sites now provide secure battery charging lockers. 110 volt, yellow. Electrical tools should ideally be a maximum of 110 volt or battery operated on construction sites. The standard color code for 110 volt equipment is yellow. You would feel an electric shock from faulty 110 volt equipment, but no lasting damage should be done. 230 volt, blue. Domestic voltage or mains power is 230 volts. It is commonly used for generators and electrical distribution. The standard color for 230 volt outdoor use is blue. If a 230 volt cable is damaged, or if you touch the wires that make up the cable, you will get a severe or even fatal electric shock. 230 volt tools are not allowed on most sites. 400 volt, red. The standard color for 400 volt is red. It is for equipment needing a lot of power, such as a tower crane. Electricity can kill. If in doubt, stop work and report any concerns to your supervisor. Electrical hazards. There may be overhead power lines on site, which are only completely safe if isolated by a competent and authorized person. People have been electrocuted and killed when items, such as ladders, towers or mobile plant, accidentally touch or come close to live or charged overhead power lines. Remember, objects only need to be close to the cables, not actually touching them, for electricity to jump, arc, and electrocute you. Burns, scorch marks, or burning odors indicate an electrical fault. Damaged leads and cables, even if it is just the outer sheathing, must be taken out of use. If you see smoke from a power tool, switch it off and take it out of use. If a fuse blows, it means there is a fault. Switch off and disconnect the equipment and report it to your manager. Do not try to do any repairs, even changing a fuse, unless you are trained, competent and authorized to do so. Protection devices. Residual current devices, RCDS, work by cutting the power quickly if there is a fault. Portable RCDS fit between the plug and the socket. They must be kept free of moisture and dirt and protected against vibration and mechanical damage. Your site rules may require you to use a RCD with any 230 volt tool. Portable RCDS should have a combined inspection and test before first use and then every month. Portable RCD units should have a mechanical, trip, test before each use. You do this by pressing the test trip button. Portable appliance testing. HSE guidance recommends that tools, leads and equipment should be tested every 3 months if used on site. If used, the Portable Appliance Testing, PAT, label will tell you when the last safety test was carried out. It does not tell you when the next test is due. Thank you for watching and good luck for your test.